Hey guys, Stephanie here. I am settled into my new home and in my new office for the most part. I still need, I had to order a broken piece of my desk, so I'm kind of working off a table for now. But I'll get there and I'll be able to start pushing more and more content out. Just wanted to do a quick video on packaging InDesign files. If you need to send your InDesign file to someone, let's say you are using a printer or any type of service provider that wants to work with the master file, like if you're working directly with a publisher, you're providing the design work for the publisher, and they want the InDesign file, you'll need to package it. Now what that means is InDesign will look at your document, look at all the external links that are a part of your document, and bring them together in a series of folders. All right, so I'm going to show you what that means. All right, this file right here, this is a cookbook that I'm working on for a publisher, and they always want the final file and not just the PDF. So I have to package it and send them all the components that make up that package. Now, there are some font licensing restrictions that you need to make sure you're aware of, but since this is a publisher, or if you're working with a printer, the licensings on fonts typically allow you to transfer the fonts with that file if it is going to be used to print or further prepare that book, for the end product. So that's something to think about. Now, if you use Typekit fonts, Adobe Typekit fonts, where they're not necessarily on your computer, they're just linked to Adobe Creative Cloud, those fonts will not embed, so whoever you are sending this to will need to have access to those fonts as well. The publisher that I work with, they do have that, as well as any printer will more than likely have access to that as well, so you don't need to worry about those fonts. All right, so what does a packaged InDesign file do? Well, it saves out the InDesign file, and I've gone through a couple of drafts since I created the package, so you'll have to ignore all these files. So it saves the InDesign file. It also saves out any link, any graphic that you have in that file that is not embedded. Okay, so in InDesign, there's two ways to place a file, place a graphic, whether it's a PSD file, an Illustrator file, a TIFF, a PNG, or a JPEG, whatever, or even if it's like a Word document that's linked, or an Excel file that's linked. Those files reside somewhere on your computer, and oftentimes we may not have them all in the same folder. What packaging an InDesign file does is it takes all of those images and merges them, basically copies them into a links folder. So this links folder, that's a part of this folder that I had already packaged, is right here. So these are all of the different images that are linked in the file. Okay. And it also creates a font folder. So any fonts that are used in the document are going to be in the font folder, with the exception of those Typekit fonts. And then, of course, it's going to have the InDesign file that is linked to all those files to this links folder. So when you get ready to send it to a service provider, you need to send them this entire folder. So it needs to include the fonts, so they'll have access to those fonts. You'll need to include the links folder, and then you'll need to include the file. Now, if you just send the InDesign document to someone, what's going to happen is if there's links in it, if there's graphics in it, you might, they're going to get errors. So I just received one, and this document contains 22 links to sources that are missing. You can find or relink the missing links using the links panel. So if you're going to send your file to someone, it's important to package it. So either package it or embed those graphics. It's much easier to package it and just send the package file to someone. You'll definitely want to package it so they can have all the links that are necessary to look at that document. All right, so we're not going to worry about that right now. All right, so let's go back to this, and you may say, well, how do I package it? Well, this particular cookbook file that I am working on, we are at the stages where I turn all the files over to the publisher. So I package it. Now, I have already packaged it once, but I'm going to package it again because we've done some updates and I may have not saved this additional image that we put in the right spot. So what we need to do is we need to go to File, Package. All right. This is just a summary of everything. You don't need to worry about anything on this screen other than this button right here. And you can actually look to see what's in your document. This is all the information. It tells you what fonts are used. It tells you all the links and what the files are, whether they're CMYK or RGB. Back in the day, if you had a book like this, I would take the time to go through and convert everything to CMYK for the images. And if you are using an offset press, it's always a good idea to do that. But if you are using print-on-demand printers and exporting as a PDF X1A, you don't need to worry about converting all your images to CMYK because it is done in the conversion to the PDF X1A. You also do not need to include any color profiles if you're printing on demand. Ingram Spark and KDP are known to strip color profiles, so it's a waste. But if you are printing offset, contact the printer and ask them what color profile they need you to set this up. That's important to know. They'll give you the specifications. All right, so now to package it, we're going to click on Package. Now it's going to bring up Package Publication screen or something like that. Yeah, Package Publication. And I don't know what the default is down here, but I always definitely copy the fonts. I always definitely copy the linked graphics. I always want it to update the graphic links in the package. So what it's going to do is it's going to search all my network in my hard drive and my external drive and see where all those files are saved at, because they may not be saved in the same folder. It's going to bring them all together into one folder and one links folder. And then it's going to update your InDesign file and point it to the proper location for that particular link. Use document hyphenation exceptions only. You can check that if you want. Include font especially if you have any special hyphenation rules built in your document. Include fonts and links from hidden and non-printing content. If you have any hidden layers with instructions for the printer that you set as a non-printing layer, you'll want to check that. Include IDML file and include PDF. Those are if you just want that additional content available for the printer. In some cases, a printer may not be on the same version of InDesign that you are and can't open up the INDD file. So you can also include the IDML file, and that way if they are on, InDesign a couple versions ago, they'll be able to open up the file using the IDML file. So it's always good to include that if you're not aware of the setup that whoever you're sending the file to has. Now, I know my publisher, and I know that they are on the newest version of InDesign, so I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to send them a PDF because I just sent them a PDF and they approved it, so I don't need to send them another one, so we don't need to worry about that. And then now I'm going to choose what folder I want to save the package file in. Now, this is kind of a buggy thing. When you go to File, Package, it's not going to automatically bring up the folder that you were in, that the file is currently in, so you need to make sure you save it in the right location, otherwise you're going to be looking for it. And just go to the folder that you want it to save everything in and click on Package. In some cases, you might get this kind of error. It's telling me the folder name is too long, please use a shorter name. Stupid number of characters. It's always good to stick with short file names and file names without any spaces, because spaces cause issues, and long file names cause issues with certain servers, certain programs. This also goes with paragraph styles and character styles. It's always good to have those named with no spaces. All right, so in fairly short. All right, Athena to Zeus 05. I'm going to click on package. How is my file name too long now? All right, so let's just try 05. Maybe it only wanted 8 characters. I've never had this problem before. It may be because I'm trying to save the package file to a network drive that has limitations. So it's a little wacky doodle. Alright, so now it's gone through the packaging part, and we are going to go to that folder. And you'll notice here's that folder 05, and in that folder we have the InDesign file. We have all of the graphics, and then, oops, I backed out too quickly. We have all the document fonts. Alright, so in this case, what I do is I select all of these and I zip them, and I send it to my service provider. So that is how to package an InDesign file. If you need to send a file to someone and they're resolving an issue for you, or they're creating an ebook from your file, you'll definitely want to package it so they'll have access to all the necessary files that you have in your document. If in some cases you may not need to send the fonts, in some cases you do. It really depends on what purposes you are sending that file to them for. And that is it for today. I hope to continue to push out new content to you guys, and I am really going to start busting through the new program that I am setting up. So you will have new videos soon, hopefully. I'm one of those overly optimistic people and tend to overspend myself, but my goal, originally I know my goal was to get the videos done and out there by July, but then you threw in my move and COVID and everything else just kind of threw everything up. So my new goal is by the end of this year, I will have all those videos done and all that new content will be available to you. All right, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and let me know if there is anything I can help you with. Take care.